All right, some other details that you want to be aware of. In the project sheet, it says that you need to have at least 150 PPI um, as your smallest resolution in your pictures. So how do you figure that out? So what you want to do is you want to click and make sure that you have your links panel. If there's a panel over here that you don't see, you would always find it up in the window area. And here's links right here. And so if I click on this photo right here, I come down here and you can see the effective PPI is 1050. So that's a great size. Usually for magazine design, it is 300 PPI is what we strive for, and probably no smaller than 225 PPI. But I made this 150 PPI in order for you to have a little bit more range in what you're designing. So after you design something, go through and click on each one of your photographs. Click on this little donut. So I click on that donut and I come down here and the effective PPI is 995. I click over here on this donut and it's 461. Let's see, what's this? Click on this and it's 307. So everything is within the right PPI, and you can see the change in the PPI as I scale this bigger and bigger or smaller. If I zoom out of this a little bit and scale this up, so we can see right here, keep your eye over here as I scale this bigger. And you can see the bigger you get, the smaller the PPI. And so if I wanted to have zoomed into something on this photo like this and then pulled it in like that, notice that now it's 139 effective PPI, and that's too small. Anything lower than 150, every time you do that, you lose a third of a letter grade. So make sure that you know that your photos are at least 150 PPI before you submit the project. The other thing is when you're doing sidebars, so look at this sidebar. See the sidebar? I've got it's a text box and a text box that has an inset to it. And so let me show you how that works. So I've got this text box, and if I go back up to Object, Text Frame Options, you can see right here the inset. This is, so if I make this a 0 inset, make it all a 0, then it touches the edge. This is bad. This is visual tension, and we never want to see this. We always want to inset our type inside of a box. So Object, Text Frame Options, and let's just make that 1P0. That's better. The other thing is you notice that this type right here is going across two columns. So how do I do that? Over here in this little flyout menu, there is something called span columns. And so right now I have spanning columns, so it's spanning all the columns. You can also have it span like 2 out of the 3 columns or so on and so forth. But if I turn it to single column and click OK, this is the normal way that you would see that come in when you have it set to 2 columns of type. We could set it to 1 column of type. That gives us kind of a weird space right here, so that's why I set it to 2 columns of type. So that's flyout menu, span columns, and I'm going to span all columns and then click OK. So it goes across those 2 columns. The next thing is I talked earlier about having these in a previous design. I had a castle in which I had created an offset path around the shape of the castle. And how did I do that? So I took my pen tool and I kind of copied, and it doesn't have to be precise. And down to the bottom over here and complete it right there. And then First of all, I'm going to select the photograph and take the text wrap off of that one. So now the type is going all the way down, and now I'm going to select this shape, and notice that the shape is filled with none and there is no line. That's really important. You don't want this to show up. You want it to be invisible, and so we've got this selected, and then we can come over here and put a text wrap, not a text wrap around the bounding box. What happens is it just does it square or rectangular, but we do it around the object shape, and so there we have it. And don't forget, you want to offset the path, the text wrap, so 1p0. Let's see how that works. So you could also make it bigger if you think that's too close, which I might think it is. So I'm going to go up a little bigger. Now the one issue I'm coming across is this right here. See this little bump right here? It's pushing these two lines of type away from each other. So the thing that you could do is you could just create a box, an invisible box like this, and then drag it across those two lines and put a text wrap around that. So it just kicks it over. The other way you can do it is you can zoom in here and you can see this text wrap right here. So if I go to my direct selection tool, there is a handle right here that I can click on, and I can kind of bring this down, and that allows it to not have that space right there. So it's something you got to be really wary about whenever you're having this kind of weird organic text wrap shape.